Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, welcome back to the Graystone Acres Kitchen. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Hey, this month's recipe, we are doing chicken noodle soup, okay? We figure on doing this because it is the middle of January. It's cold, it's rainy, it's snowy, it's all kinds of stuff. You don't want to be outside. It's flu season and whatnot. This is a great recipe for those cold days, for when you're not feeling great or the family's not feeling great, little ones aren't feeling great, or you just want something home style. This is it. Okay. Now this is actually going to be a recipe right out of Hope's cookbook. Okay. And when I say Hope's cookbook, her recipes that she's figured out, done by hand, and has put to a T of how they should be. So I'm pretty excited about introducing this month. Before we get into it, this month's local business is a West Virginia business called Mountaineer Brand. Check them out. I love their products. I love their shampoos, soaps, everything. They're all natural. None of the heavy chemicals or anything like that. And they are made in West Virginia. So check them out. Okay, so before we get into it, let's talk about our ingredients. And then I'm going to talk to you about how this recipe actually exemplifies how the people in Appalachia would be living during the winter months and how they used everything they had. So let's get into the ingredients list. All right, so the main base of this recipe is good stock, and we have our bone stock here. We will put the recipe on our website to make the stock if you want to make the stock. If you don't want to go buy chicken broth or anything like that at the store, that's completely fine. But you need something of good quality for this recipe because that's what really carries a lot of the flavor. So stock here, I think a total we'll end up using about 6 cups or 9 cups for stock. All right, we got 3 carrots, about 4 celery stalks, parsley, whole onion, a couple bay leaves, 6 cloves of garlic, 5 tablespoons of butter. This is homemade bread. This is not part of the recipe. However, a nice little additive dunk for that nice broth flavor. I recommend making yourself some homemade bread or getting yourself some good bread at one of the local bakeries in the area. Vermouth, crushed up ginger, and leftover chicken. Now we took this from a whole chicken that we stewed the other day. It's about a pound of chicken that you'll need for this recipe. However, this goes into what I wanted to talk about and how people in Appalachia didn't have the luxury in the early days to just go to the supermarket, get whatever they needed. They needed to utilize everything they had. So this recipe is a great way to utilize any chicken leftovers, any type of chicken that you would have in the fridge from a dinner. Make sure that you use everything you can, which is in the spirit Appalachian and in the spirit of a lot of America. So before we get into how the recipe is prepared, let me talk to you about a little bit about that. If you grew up around Appalachia, you probably heard the phrase, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. That wasn't just a saying, it was a way of life. Folks around here didn't have much extra, but what they did have, they knew how to use. And that's where the Appalachian resistance really comes in. Not from having plenty, but from knowing what you can do when you don't. When a family butchered an animal, nothing went to waste. You didn't toss good food, you turned it into supper. Bones went in the pot for broth, fat got rendered down, scraps got saved for later. If it was edible, it was used. If it wasn't, it probably still served a purpose. The land helped too. People knew where to find ramps, berries, nuts, and greens. The knowledge wasn't written in books. It was taught by walking the woods with someone older than you and paying attention. Most Appalachian dishes weren't invented in the kitchen. They were figured out by necessity. Soup beans weren't fancy, but they stick to your ribs and feed a crowd. Cornbread didn't need yeast or store to run. Fried potatoes, gravy, biscuits, simple food that worked. Even the sweet stuff had the purpose. Fried pies were made so fruit wouldn't go to waste. Apple stack cake showed up when dried apples were all that was left. Every recipe had a reason behind it. Nothing was there by accident. Winter was always coming, and folks knew it. Gardens weren't planted for looks, they were planted for survival. Beans got dried, corn got stored, meat got smoked or canned, root cellars were filled up before the first hard freeze. Because once the snow hit and the roads got bad, you're on your own for a while. And being ready meant peace of mind. You didn't panic, you prepared. That kind of resilience didn't disappear. You still see it today in gardens, canning jars, deep freezers, and neighbors lending a hand. Appalachia isn't about being poor, it's about being capable. It's about knowing how to feed your family, take care of each other, and get through whatever comes. And when you sit down on a bowl of soup beans or a slice of cornbread, you're not just eating food, you're tasting a history of making do, getting by, and carrying on. First thing what you want to do is prep all your vegetables. You want to take your carrots, peel, and cut the both ends off. And once you have that done, you're going to cut them in half. And then I like to cut about a quarter inch slices. So there you go. Cut them in half right there. Get rid of that. And then I also cut the carrot here, because what I'm going to do is slice this in half and then get our quarter slices here. Just like that. See the 1/4 inch halves. This, however, this larger piece, I'm going to turn to 4s and still make about 1/4 inch slices. A good thing about farmhouse cooking is everything is rustic. All right, carrots are done. I'm pretty much going to do the same thing for the celery stalks. Take our celery, cut it right in half down, get the ends off there. Those out of the way. And right through the center there. And then once again, about 1/4 inch. Again, doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be good or anything. That's it. Once your celery's there, my transition was a little off. Start with your onion. Now what I do is I cut the top of the onion there, and then I slice it right in half. Try not to slice, like keep a little bit of that end on both sides is what I'm trying to say. Then get your peel off. I cut it right in the center, all the way almost to the end there. Then I take slices. Ooh, got too much off that one. Now I'm not trying to go all the way to the end. I'm trying to leave it a little bit connected, because I'm going to turn the onion and just slicing, and that makes nice dices. All right, so the onion's done. Then we got to start warming up our pot. Now, you add your butter to your pot. Add all the butter. And you let that melt. And once that's melted, you start adding your vegetables. Now, what we're looking for here is for your vegetables, for the onions and the celery to get a little bit translucent. You want it to be a little opaque looking. About 10 minutes. You're going to saute them up. Saute those up for a little bit. Give it a good stir. I recommend using a good wooden spoon for this recipe. And add yourself a little bit of salt. And I'll include all the measurements and everything on our website, where you can find the directions as well. And this is all out of Hope's cookbook. Okay, looks like our vegetables have cooked long enough, so take that lid off. Give a little bit of stir. All right. And now what we're going to do is cook that with the lid off and turn up our heat just a hair. Because what we're trying to do now is brown our onions and a little bit of the carrots and veg. That way we create a little bit of fond on the bottom of that pot. All right, now that we have a little bit of brown in there, you see that? All right. We're going to add our garlic. Now,
I recommend you get one of these garlic presses. I love them. It makes making minced garlic super quick. Boom, that's all you have to do. And you can stick, I've stick like 3 or 4 of these bulbs in one time. Just give it a good squeeze. Are you going to stick all of your garlic, all 6 cloves? See, there I go. 2 bulbs there. All right, and then I just take a knife at the end, slice it off. And get the rest of that garlic out of that slot there. And that's it. All right, 6 cloves of garlic added. Now we're going to let that cook, let it get a little bit of aroma for about a minute. Not that long. And give it a little stir. All right. Now we got our garlic all cooked out. We're going to add our vermouth and deglaze the bottom of that pan. Get all those bits up. Make sure you get everything. Now you're going to keep doing this until all that liquid is evaporated. There we go. And I try to get everything there as best as I can. All right, now we're going to add our ginger, prepared ginger. Now you can crush this. You can add peeled whole ginger. I like using the crushed stuff. I think it gets through the soup a lot easier, more flavor throughout. And then you just stir that a little bit. And now we're going to add the good stuff, the stock. Now we're going to put our stock recipe on our website so you can see the stock recipe. Now you add your chicken. Once all your stock is added, you add your chicken there, 1 pound. And give it a good stir. Get that all stirred up. Get your vegetables and everything. Now you're going to bring this to a boil. Oh, forgot the bay leaves. A little quick stir. Now, we got ourselves a boil. Add your egg noodles. You like to use egg noodles. These are a homemade egg noodle that you can get from the store. And you can pretty much just throw those in, cook for the amount of time in the soup that's on the bag. I think it was 20 minutes. Bring that to a simmer and simmer for 20. There you go. And you stir periodically, and that is it. You have a wonderful, hot, flavorful chicken soup and some homemade bread and butter. Doesn't get anything better than this on a cold winter day in Appalachia. Thank you for tuning in, and if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe and share with a friend.